So, welcome to another book flip through. The book I have here today is something that I definitely treasure a lot. This is the complete book of fashion illustration by Sharon Tate and Mona Schaefer Edwards. This is actually one of the first editions from 1982, and I basically stole it from my mother. This book was actually one of the books that I learned to draw from. My mother was a seamstress. She did a lot of dresses in our area. As you can see, it's got her name up here, Don Kinsey, and the original price in Canadian dollars, $27.50. Currently, a third edition will retail for about, I think the last time I saw it was about $70 or $80 on Amazon. So it's definitely, this is definitely a treasure for me. Yeah, this was the book that I learned to draw from, as I said before just a few seconds ago. My mother was a professional seamstress. She did a lot of formal wear in our area. She always sewed for us. She did all the prom dresses, all the wedding dresses, a lot of bridesmaid dresses, even stuff for men. And she was a really good seamstress. It's kind of sad that I never learned how to sew. Yeah, unfortunately. I can sew a little bit, but not nearly as good as my mother because she always sewed for me. But I learned to draw through fashion illustration and through her teaching me, and this was the book that we used. I still find it today to be a really, really good book. As you can see in the beginning, it gives you a lot of information for getting started. So it's really a good book for beginners, not just advanced people. And it gives you a lot of information and sketches, all hand-drawn, which I really love, and it's just not something you would always find in a book today. It gives you a lot of stuff on bone structure, basic proportions. It's a really, really good book. We'll just keep flipping through it here. As you can see, it gives a lot of structural anatomy stuff for the fashion model physique, of course, but still really, really relevant. Drawing hands, drawing feet. Yeah, this is what I really like here too, is how it gives a skill check at the end of every chapter, where it shows some student attempts and then it corrects them. And I think that that's really helpful for beginners. Lots on drawing the face. It is very much sort of 80s. We have a very 80s face here, in terms of the makeup. But yeah, overall, it's a really, really good book. And it really covers basics from the beginning, as you can see here, just going with how to draw an eye, how to draw lips, the basic proportions of the face. There are, as far as I know, I actually just recently checked before I did this flip through again, just to make sure my information was up to date. There's only 3 editions of the book that came out. I think the last one was in 1993. So it's not actually that easy to find. I think you can get an ebook version on Google, but this is not a super in-print book, and I think that's really a shame. I think there's a lot to learn here. A lot on fabric, a lot on structure. This is a really, really good book, and I would highly recommend it if you can find an edition. This is an excellent book to have, and I'll probably be going through it here in the next couple months, just as I do a little bit more work on drawing figures again. I've been doing a lot on horses for my horse book, and I need to make sure I get back into human figure drawing a little bit. There's also lots of examples of different styles, which I like. There's work on here, so designing the illustration. Again, different styles, different examples. This is a really, really excellent book. And although I've moved away as an older artist, I've moved away from sort of fashion illustration style. I tend to do more of a style of anatomy based on figure drawing and more of a manga European graphic novel influence. But this book is still a really great reference, and this is actually how I learned to draw again. So it's always kind of nostalgic to flip back through it and see those first plates where I first learned proportions. I think I'd like to do some more fashion style illustration. I mean, I still love doing pinups with costumes and fashion studies, so I think I might try to do that a little bit more in 2021. I would recommend this book very highly. Again, this was the book that the last time I went back to Canada, which was nearly 5 years ago now, I made a point of asking my mother if I could have this book particularly, and I brought it back with me to Germany. And it's really a treasure. I really enjoy it. And I would definitely recommend, again, if you can find a copy of it, I would pick this book up. It is geared toward a specific genre of illustration, so that is fashion illustration. So again, if you come back here, I mean, this is a very specific body type, which, I mean, today in the 2020s, we've started to move, not necessarily just away from that, but we've started to become more diverse in what we want from fashion illustration. We want a range of different body types. Here again is another check your skills section. We want more body types, we want more diversity. So in that sense, this book is a little bit outdated. It really skews towards one type, but in terms of fundamental drawing skills and things like how to draw an eye, how to draw hair, how to draw clothing. And I think that's actually, it's definitely really good. And I think that's actually something that's missing in a lot of character design work that I see, is that a lot of illustrators, especially men, and a lot of people doing character designs and commissions, they don't really know how to design clothing. They don't know how to design clothing that fits well. They don't know the proportions. They're really missing that element of fashion design and fashion illustration in their work. And the work tends to be very repetitive. There's typical, looks that you find in particular genres, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of people have not learned. See, there's even a chapter on drawing men, which is great. It's a very inclusive book in that sense. I think that just that element of understanding how to draw clothing, not just how to draw folds, but how to draw tailored clothing that fits a character and that gives a character a distinct look, is something that is missing from a lot of artists, and they could definitely use a book like this. Another thing that I love about this book is chapter 11, Drawing Children. This is by far one of the best books I've ever seen on how to draw children. I'm really noted for being able to draw kids fairly well. And that's from this book, I learned a lot. And then also, of course, from working as a kindergarten teacher and a nursery teacher in an elementary school. I see different kids every day. But this really explains proportions well for different ages. And that's something a lot of artists struggle with, is how to draw kids and how to draw them looking not like weird little shrunken adults. So I would definitely recommend this book. Again, if you can find it, it is well worth a hunt. If you can get the ebook version, that's also something that would be really helpful. It's timeless, I think, in terms of its technique. Again, it does skew very, very much into the very specific fashion physique that we've started to move away from a little bit in the 2000s. Again, we want more diversity in body types and ethnicities, but the fundamentals haven't changed. I mean, the fundamentals of drawing hair and laying out a face haven't changed, and the fundamentals of drawing fabric haven't changed either. And this book is very, very comprehensive. Lots of wonderful handwritten notes. And really, I think what's also good about it is that it really goes from start to finish. You can, I think, come into this book not knowing how to do figure drawing, and it will take you all the way through to give you everything you know. There's other books out there. This is still one of the best I've seen, and I would really, really highly recommend it. It's a book that I still reference when I want to do some troubleshooting or just to flip through. And I love all the illustrations in it. I think there's a lot of really good material, even on presenting and portfolios, which, we don't do so much in the, all of us have online portfolios now, most of us, I would hope. But even just information like that, interviewing for a job, preparation for an interview, there's not many other how to draw books that do that, but this is one that assumes that, you will want to have a career in fashion illustration, and it tries to give you the information you need. I mean, here even a sketchbook, scrap collection. I have scrap collections, quite extensive ones actually, and I'll be working on them more this winter since I've been collecting material. Again, this was one of this book inspired me to start doing that. And I have really extensive scrapbooks, which I think artists should keep, not just Pinterest boards, but physical, tangible scrapbooks are really helpful. So yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's a beautiful book. It is black and white, but there's a huge diversity in illustrations, a huge diversity in techniques. Gives a lot of information. And if you can pick up a copy of this book in any condition, I would say it's very worthwhile. So that is Fashion Illustration by Sharon Tate.